Well, we're kind of doing two or three things at once with the Ghost here. We've got it supported with a jack so that we can remove the front wheel. We've got the quote tank cover off so we can change the air filter and sync the carburetors, dope out what's going on there. So let's just take a look at a couple of things here, just because it's easier to see it this way than in the book. This, I believe, is the vacuum operated petcock. Looks like it is. There's one of the two carburetors. A couple of adjustments you can see here. These two things here are the slack in the throttle cable. So you can just see how much slack there is there and how much there is there. Probably about right. And then this little gizmo here, this little idle adjuster, is on a cable. Here's the cable coming up, and here's the screw for the throttle stop. So that's just your idle speed control. And we'll take the top off of the air cleaner. We'll take this stupid K&N air filter out and throw it away or sell it to someone with no brains and put a real air filter in there. On the other side, there you can see the California evaporative canister, charcoal canister for the evaporative emission system. And there's a couple of little valves associated with that thing I haven't found yet. But, we'll figure it out. Here's the tube that comes from the gas cap, goes down to this thing. This thing's supposed to capture liquid. Vapors come back up and they go into the carburetor. And then there's also an overboard vent on that canister too. There's two controls for it. One is a purge valve and one is a, I don't know, something, a hoozy doodly thing, and I don't know what it's called and I don't know how it works. But I guess we're going to figure it out. Got a feeling this is one of them right here. So anyway, we'll take this top off of this thing, get a look at our carburetors and just see what we got. And the other job that we're doing is taking off, taking apart the fenders and the brake shrouds so that we can remove the front wheel. You can see that the steering head bearings are nice and smooth and light, so that part is good, and that's all I know. Okay, 6 screws that come out, 4 that don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, and these 2, 5, and 6. These 4 here on this scoop did not come off. Okay, the plan here is to remove these disc brake covers and the fender and then the rear wheel. I'm not the first guy that's made a video of this who's never done it before. I'm just going to try to do it slightly better. First, you need to know that there's a hex head or an Allen head screw in here, 5 millimeters. Another one in the back. I'm going to show them all to you. One here and one here. And those have to come apart. And then there are snap fittings, typical of all of these pieces of plastic, that snap together there. And also here, these are already come apart, as you can see. And so the task is to get these things unsnapped without breaking anything and get the pieces off. So let me show you what the hex heads look like. So in my world anyway, there's 3 things you need: a 5 millimeter Allen wrench, a flashlight, and a piece of licorice. With the flashlight you can see the hex head bolt. There it is. On the other side, whoopsie, there's another one. So we're going to go after those, and we'll do the two in the back, and then we'll start trying to unsnap the origami. Okay, here's the fender attaching hex head screw up here on the top. Don't get confused with this thing. That's the banjo bolt for the hydraulic brake fluid. So this one up at the top's the one you want. Remember, you want to work smart. Don't want to trip over stuff. Put stuff on the ground and then kick it around. Put your fasteners in something. That's a chicken can or a tuna can. Put your fasteners in something and keep them straight. Don't lose them. Okay, here comes the interesting part. Well, here you can see that this has come free there and come free here. And I think it should come out of there. There it is. So let's look at this. There's two hooks on there, and they hook in here. There's two tabs. Remember, tab A and slot B, 3 tabs, and they go here, here, and back here. So there's that. Here's a bolt and a bracket that holds this fender on, but let's take off the other side if we can. Okay. Let's just see. There it goes. So now we've got this captive little back part of the fender in there, but we've got this off, exposing our front brakes and our forks and our discs, which we're seeing for the first time. It's a new motorcycle to me, so this is the first time I've ever seen the discs. Not much of a ridge there, so it's not badly worn. Not much of a ridge there, so I think we'll mic them, but I think they probably find that those things are not too bad. So give a listen. I think that was a speedometer gear or a speedometer cable making noise. Remove the screw, pull the speedometer cable loose from the drive, and unhook it from here, pull it out of this clip so it's free and you can get the fender off. You're taking the fender off, you have to squeeze these tabs slightly to make it come through the opening, get the speedometer cable out of the way, center this, do whatever you have to do to get it out. That rotating noise wasn't the speedometer cable or the gear. It was one of these nuts that had fallen. When I took it out, it fell, and I thought it fell on the ground, but it was trapped in here inside the wheel drum. And it was rattling around in there. It wouldn't fall out. It was just rattling around in there, and that's what was making that noise. Well, we've gotten to a kind of a logical stopping place for a minute. And I'm going to take and clean the grunge off of this. Part of it's grease. I think a lot of it is brake dust, but some of it's grease. I'm not quite sure where that's come from. But I'm going to give it a shot of simple green and water and mineral spirits if I have to. And pick up my fasteners before I kick them all over the place. That's what you want to do, is get your fasteners off the ground so you don't kick them around. So I'll give this a clean here. before I start disassembling these brake calipers. I think I'm supposed to take this fender bracket off. I'll go and read the book. When in doubt, read the book. But anyway, I want to get it cleaner first. There's no reason I'm working on something that's trash. I'll clean the rim once I get it off, but I want to get most of it clean now. So when I was a kid, back in the early 60s, took the family car, which was a 36 horsepower Volkswagen, into the German mechanic at the gas station to get tuned up. And I guess it must have had an oil cooler leak, because it had oil all over the place. And he told me, he said, in Germany, if you brought this in dirty like this, we'd charge you extra to work on it. And at the time I was a dumb kid, the only tools I had was a hammer, an adjustable wrench, and a screwdriver. I didn't know anything. But I remembered it. And what he's trying to tell me is, a good mechanic is not going to work on something that's filthy. And if a mechanic is working on it and doesn't clean it first, it's because he's not a good mechanic. If you think you take it to the Honda shop and they're going to clean the grease off of this little guide pin that holds your speedometer cable on there, or wipe the grease off the speedometer cable in your brake hose, they're probably in for a rude awakening. They're probably not going to do it. And the BMW guy probably isn't going to do it either. So one of the advantages of getting a motorcycle from a home mechanic is, if he's a good mechanic, he'll take care of those details. Now, there's a good chance I'm going to bleed these brakes before I put this all back together. And I'm sure that I'm going to take this anti-dive valve apart and clean and inspect it, make sure it's working right. Well, it's got to be cleaned before it comes apart, so this is just the preliminary cleaning. But when I take this caliper off of there, I'm not going to be getting grease on the pads, because I'm handling the caliper and it's filthy. At least I've done a basic cleaning here. Well, I guess this is it for today. Okay. Some of the grunge cleaned off of the rim, but it's going to want some serious scrubbing. Go read the manual. I think I'm supposed to take those fender brackets off of there. Probably because when you put the wheel back in, you don't want to gouge up the rotors. And figure out how we're going to tie up the brake calipers and do all that tomorrow.